Part 104. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 1032. Su Hexiang glanced at her and smiled helplessly. You are facing me. Assistant, I am your assistant. If not you, who should I be with? Su Hexiang shook his head and said no more. She didn't say she did anything inappropriate. Although she has never been in a serious relationship, she has lived a life through acting in a play for so many years. In terms of experience, she has much more experience than Lu Qingyuan, who is obsessed with art. So when she found out that Lu Qingyuan had such thoughts, her first reaction was, she didn't want to have anything to do with him. Regardless of whether Lu Qingyuan came to him because he was not used to it, or he really realized that he was interested in him later. For Su Hexiang now, she has decided to completely let go of this heart and decided to end all relations between herself and Lu Qingyuan, so Lu Qingyuan can only be unaccustomed to it. So she bullied Lu Qingyuan because he was inexperienced in love, and denied his feelings with heartbreaking words. She also vilified her own feelings for 3 years. No matter whether Lu Qingyuan is tempted or not, after what he said today, there will be no future for the two of them. Asterisk. She was right. From that day until the filming of the movie was completed, she never saw Lu Qingyuan again or received any news from him for a long time. That time Lu Qingyuan came to visit the crew, just as he promised, no photos or rumors were leaked. The crew members seemed to have been warned, and they never asked or joked about this matter again. Occasionally, they looked at Su Hexiang with some fear. It's just that I don't want to worry about these styracs. After filming, she relaxed her body and mind, turned off her mobile phone, and slept happily for 2 days and 2 nights before she finally recovered and happily flew back home. What about Lu Qingyuan? Let him be. Jinli picked her up at the airport, and the two sisters, whom they hadn't seen for a long time, hugged her on the spot. Not surprisingly, it was captured by fans. Knowing Su Hexiang's schedule, many fans of Su Hexiang came to the airport. However, her fans are famous for being quiet and high quality. When they saw her, they didn't even scream or rush to her. They just asked her in a gentle voice if she was tired and how she was doing recently. They said she was thin. You should pay attention to your health. Su Hexiang also answered them one by one, and waited for 20 minutes before saying goodbye to them. He's lost weight. Jinli looked at her and said with certainty. Su Hexiang was helpless. The action movie was filmed for more than a year, how could it not be thin? Jinli held her hand. Don't be afraid, I'll give you something good to keep you full of energy and energy without getting fat. Su Hexiang knew her identity, so she didn't refuse after hearing the words, and said with a smile, okay, wait for our Koi's good things. The two held hands and left together. Many people around were taking pictures with their mobile phones. The two of them had been gone for less than 10 minutes. Hashtag Su Hexiang returned to China from filming, and Jinli personally greeted him on the set. Hashtag titles like this have already appeared in hot searches. At first, no one felt anything was wrong. After all, everyone knows that Jinli and Su Hexiang have a good relationship. But 2 hours later, a marketing account posted another revelation. Have you eaten melon today? Who still remembers the scene pictures of Jinli's wedding? At that time, the couple sitting at the woman's parents' table were actually Su Hexiang's parents. So, what is the relationship between these two people? I wrote very slowly today. One was the emotional scene between Lu Qingyuan and Su Su, which is something that a single person is really not good at, Ka Wen. Of course, the main reason is, this author was distracted tonight. He ate a big bowl of leeks alone. My fragile stomach couldn't bear it. It hurt me to death. Oh my God. So, the update, just, becomes like this. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Sushao Zhaji. Chapter 1033. When fans first saw this, they didn't realize anything was wrong. Instead, they all laughed and joked below. Is there anyone who doesn't know about the relationship between Susu and Jinli, good sisters? Don't everyone know who Jinli's adoptive parents are, so when she gets married, her good sister's parents come over to support the occasion? How nice it is. The relationship is due to meeting the parents, dog head. They are super good sisters. But no one knows that this is just the beginning. That night, the marketing account broke another piece of information. Have you eaten melon today? Recently, we received a private message from a netizen, and we found some interesting things in it, which made the relationship between Jinli and Suhexiang confusing. Below are a few pictures. The two pictures are chat screenshots with coded avatars. The other two are a bit intriguing. Suhexiang and the Bai family prepared the paternity test report form for Suhexiang and Chen Liwa. Many netizens were confused by the name Chen Liwa at first, but soon Jinli's fans remembered who this woman was. Chen Liwa. The woman in the Bai family's couple is Jinli's adoptive mother. On this picture, the names are not Jinli and Chen Liwa, but Suhexiang. Why does Suhexiang want to do a paternity test with Chen Liwa? What the hell does this mean? Why does Susu want to do a paternity test with Chen Liwa? Is this picture of P? I don't understand. What is the meaning of this picture? Isn't the above result negative? What's there to hang out? Going back to a certain layer above, the result of this picture is not that important, but I think the paper itself is more important. Suhexiang and Jinli's adoptive mother did a paternity test. Jinli was adopted. Jinli got married. The Su family and his wife sat at the woman's guest seat. It was terrifying to think about it. How much can you imagine from just a few pictures? Maybe someone just filled in the name blindly. Moreover, haven't you seen how the relationship between Jinli and Suhexiang is? If there really is any awkward relationship, would the two of them not mind at all? Jinli and Suhexiang, who had just arrived at Su's house together, saw this message from the marketing account. Su's father and Su's mother also saw it, and they looked at each other. Mother Su frowned. We are old acquaintances at the hospital, and the management is very strict. I just called and asked to make sure that they did not leak the news. How did this get out? They were all a little worried about Styrax. If my guess is correct, this matter should be aimed at Suhexiang. Suhexiang looked calm. Let's see what happens next. I feel like he has more than this in his hand. He probably wants to see our reaction. Over the years, she has seen many disturbances in the circle. It's just that in the past she was just a spectator, but this time she became the protagonist who was bullied. Jinli, who was sitting on the side, said slowly, "Have you all forgotten about me?" All three looked at her. Jinli said with a smile, "If you want to know what else they have and who is behind it, just look for me." She pointed at herself. "I am the omnipotent Koi." He looks so proud. He really doesn't look like a god. Suhexiang sighed. "You have subverted all my fantasies about little fairies." You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi goddess. Author, Sushao Zhaji. Chapter 1034. Jinli's eyes widened. What do you mean? Are you saying I don't look like a little fairy? Suhexiang smiled and said nothing. But it doesn't matter if he says anything else, but he can't bear to say that he doesn't look like the little fairy Jinli. She held Suhexiang's hand and said, "What do you mean? Tell me, what do you mean? What does the little fairy in your imagination look like?" Father Su and Mother Su relaxed their somewhat depressed mood as they watched this live baby making trouble. Suhexiang was helpless by the trouble, sighed and said, "The little fairy in my mind is innocent and cute, full of aura, pure and ethereal, untainted by the world, and exquisitely carved, with a heart as clear as crystal. Jinli silently recited what she said in his mind, and looked at her doubtfully. Isn't this about me? Suhexiang. Su's father and Su's mother. Suhexiang couldn't help but complain, I have never seen such a narcissistic little fairy. Jinli couldn't help but retort, why is it called narcissism? She spoke plausibly, am I no longer innocent, or am I no longer cute? Don't I have aura? Am I not exquisite enough? She said proudly, there is no fairy daughter in the entire divine world who is more fairy-like than me. Suhexiang. But the person who said these words still stared at her without blinking, forcing her to say one sentence, you tell me, why am I not a little fairy? Suhexiang. She and Jinli looked at each other for a few seconds, and finally couldn't help laughing. I was wrong, and I apologize. You are the little fairy, she said with a smile. Jinli snorted softly, since you are so good looking and Susu, I won't argue with you. Suhexiang suppressed a smile, thank you little fairy for your careless kindness. The two looked at each other and each chuckled. Everyone knows that the other person does it on purpose and just wants to make the other person happy. And the effect is indeed remarkable, the atmosphere in the room becomes visibly relaxed. Jinli looked at everyone's faces, smiled, and said, let me see who is behind this. Father Su and Mother Su looked at each other, and Mother Su asked, Jinli, do we need to avoid it temporarily? Knowing Jinli's identity, they were worried that there might be something secretive that would make it difficult to see others. Jinli shook his head, no need. She picked up the tea at her hand and poured it into the air. The Su family were all shocked. Before they could react, something even more magical happened. The water that was poured out did not fall to the ground. Countless water droplets were frozen in mid-air, as if pulled by some mysterious force. Slowly, slowly they moved, solidified in one place, and turned into a watery sphere. Jinli stretched out her index finger and tapped on the water balloon. The water balloon exploded and turned into a huge water mirror. This magic-like scene stunned the Su family. What's even more magical is yet to come, a picture actually appears in the water mirror. It was a car with a sunspot body, driving on a road that looked like a countryside, with green trees on both sides, a long river several meters wide, and endless fields beyond. Jinli tilted his head and asked, do you know this place? The three members of the Su family recovered from their daze and shook their heads in unison. Then keep watching, Jinli said. The car kept moving forward, and soon after, a figure finally appeared in front of it. See you later. The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 1035. To be precise, it is not the figure of a person, but the figure of a house. When they saw this, the Su family had no reaction, but Jinli suddenly thought of something and nodded clearly. She probably knew this place. Sure enough, the car stopped here. Suddenly a man wearing ordinary jeans, a t-shirt, and a baseball cap got out of the car. His hat was pulled down a bit, so it was difficult to see his exact appearance. He was carrying a black backpack on his back, and he looked like a student returning from school. This is a common village gathering place in the southern countryside, with red tile roofs and whitewashed walls. The places with better conditions are basically all double-story small Western-style buildings. However, the conditions here are obviously not good. Most of them are low and square, and the wall paint is mottled. There are cracks in the cement pavement. It looks like it has not been managed for a long time. None of the four people spoke. The man in the video looked at an old man walking and asked him if a couple named Bai came here 4 years ago. The faces of the three Su family members changed after hearing this conversation. Obviously, they all remembered something. Mother Su's expression changed. Your surname is Bai. Are you the couple from the Bai family? She reacted, yes, they went to the countryside. She was still forced to go there. She forced the bi-family couple to live in the city and had no choice but to go to the countryside. In the first 2 years, Sue's mother was resentful and hired people to constantly suppress these two people. After 2 years, she probably finally felt at ease, and her family was in harmony. Mother Sue walked out slowly. Once people let go of themselves and step out, some of their hatred will dissipate a lot. She still had people keep an eye on the couple regularly, and would reply to her after a while to prevent them from causing trouble, but she no longer tortured them maliciously. But, does this matter have anything to do with the couple from the Bi family? When Sue's mother thought of this, her expression became ugly. The man in the t-shirt didn't go smoothly with his questioning, but after asking several questions and handing over a few packs of cigarettes, he found the place. At the end of the village, there is a bungalow by the river. There is a large piece of flat cement land in front of the house, surrounded by red bricks on all sides, and inside is a vegetable patch. Behind the house is probably a field for crops, and few people know the varieties very well. The man in the t-shirt found this house and heard the cry of a child before he entered. Jinli said, "Hey, how come there are children in the Bai family? Is Bai Lingzia married?" She was already certain that they were Bai Yuanjun and his wife. Hearing her doubts, Sue's father and Su Hexiang had no reaction, but Sue's mother looked a little embarrassed. "It's not their daughter, it's the third child born to Bai Yuanjun and his wife." Jinli. As a doctor, Sue's father was also shocked. 3 children? If I remember correctly, they are all in their 40s, right? Having 3 children at this age can be said to be quite dangerous. Su Hexiang was also a little surprised, but she didn't care about such irrelevant and especially disgusting things, so she didn't say anything. Mother Su knew very well. After all, she had sent people to monitor this family. It's true, their daughter is a white-eyed wolf and has no conscience. She took her money and ID card and ran away not long after she arrived. She hasn't come back for so many years. The Bai family couple probably thought that there was no hope for this daughter, and someone would have to take care of her in the future, so they gave birth to another child. She sighed, "At this age, given the medical and health conditions in a small place, I am really lucky." The Koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the Koi goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 1036. Several people sighed, but they didn't pay much attention and continued to read. Chen Liwa was holding her baby at home, while Bai Yuanjun was not at home and didn't know what he was doing. When the man in the hat saw Chen Liwa, he didn't even turn around and ask directly, "Are you Jinli's adoptive mother?" After a few years, Chen Liwa still felt hatred in her heart when she heard the name Jinli again. It's just that now it's obvious that her edges have been smoothed by the hardships of life, and since she already has a more important person in her arms, she feels much calmer. "I'm not, you got the wrong person." The man in the hat found a chair, looked at it twice, and then sat down, thinking it was a good idea. He smiled and said, "Don't deny it. Since I can find this place, I can't make a mistake." Chen Liwa said nothing and said coldly, "Sir, please get out, otherwise I will call someone." She and her husband Bai Yuanjun have lived here for 4 years. They were ostracized at first, but now they have a child. The country people are so simple. It seems that it is not easy for her to give birth to a child at such an old age. Sometimes she can help her when she is busy, and her relationship slowly grows. It just came out. Chen Liwa's fierce temper is surprisingly not annoying in a place like this. The man in the hat obviously didn't want to alarm others. He turned his eyes and looked at the child in Chen Liwa's arms. "This is your son, he looks really good." Chen Liwa's eyes sharpened, she stood up and shouted sternly, "What do you want to do?" Her aura suddenly became fierce, and she had the same demeanor as she did in the past when she was throwing things around in public. The man in the hat was not afraid of her, and even smiled. "Sister-in-law, Don't be so excited. I don't have any ill intentions in coming today. I'm here to discuss a business deal with you. Chen Liwa has become a lot smarter in the past few years. She shook her head when she heard this. If you don't want to talk, you can get out. The man in the hat also stood up and said, I know you two were frightened by Jinli back then, but I don't want you to face Jinli again. I just know a little about the past and want to ask you for something. He looked at the child in Chen Liwa's arms and whispered, how much money can you and your wife earn by doing farm work every day? This child is so cute and smart at first glance. It doesn't matter if you are in this poor place. I really want to will it delay the child's whole life. I have to say that the hat man is very good at focusing on key points. The four of them watched Chen Liwa go from alert to excited. Watching her, under the guidance of the man in the hat, slowly embellish Jinli and Jian Tao's life experiences and tell them, she would definitely not talk about changing children by herself. Finally, the hat man gave her a check in exchange for one thing, a piece of paper. That's the photo posted on the marketing account. Paternity test results of Su Hexiang and Chen Liwa. Asterisk. Seeing this, Mother Su gritted her teeth and said, are those people I paid money to find blind? It's such a shame that they don't know about such a big thing. Su Hexiang held her mother's hand and consoled her, it's because they failed in their duties, and it's because the other party was well prepared. Since they can even find out about the paternity test, knowing that you have found someone to monitor the Bai family, mother, do something in advance to arrest the person. It's not surprising that it's diverted. Mother Su was still angry. What should we do now? I guess, in addition to the paternity test, there must be audio and video recordings, right? Jinli removed the water mirror and said, don't worry, I'll take a look again. Good night. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 1037. Jinli was originally going to use some magic to find out what the man in the hat wanted to do. But surprisingly, the other party moved a little faster than her. Su's father's cell phone rang. Su's father is a doctor, and his cell phone number is not as strict as that of an actor's daughter or a dancer's wife. The other party can even find out such intimate matters as a paternity test, so it is not unusual to get Su's father's mobile phone number. Su's father didn't know who it was until he received the call. Mr. Su, I have a deal here that I want to discuss with you, the other party said. Su's father didn't realize who the other party was at this time, so he thought he was a liar and frowned, I don't have any deal to discuss. After that, hang up the phone. The other party spoke quickly, it has something to do with your daughter Su Hexiang. The three characters Su Hexiang are really weak points. Father Su asked warily, what do you want to say? He turned on speakerphone. The other party's voice rang out, we recently found out some information related to Miss Su. For example, the photos on the internet, such as the paternity test report list. It's him. Father Su asked in a solemn voice, are you responsible for this? That's just nonsense. The other party laughed, don't be so angry, Mr. Su. Please listen to what I have to say first. Jinli is the daughter of the Su family, I'm sure of it. Su Hexiang and Jinli have the same birthday. She is definitely not the daughter of the Su family. You ask me how I knew? The hospital held the wrong child, and I didn't know until a long time later. Asterisk. Really? Sure enough, they recorded it. Father Su glanced at a few people, nodded, and asked in a deep voice, what exactly do you want to do? The other party smiled, why not just do this earlier? He was not verbose, I have no ill intentions toward Miss Su Hexiang and Miss Jinli, and I don't want this kind of thing to affect them. This time it's really because of the lack of money. Dad Suk. Jinli. Suhek Siang / Mother Suk. It took me a long time just for money. But think about it. Dad Su asked, how much do you want? The other party said, 50 million. Su's father raised his voice, 50 million? Are you trying to steal money? It's not that the Su family can't come up with 50 million. Just paying 50 million to buy such a news seal, the other party would be too open-minded. The other party said, don't be so excited. If it were someone else, we wouldn't dare to speak like this. But who is Miss Su? She is young, has a good reputation as a movie star, has both sides of the story, and has no scandal yet. How much is the title of the movie actress Soo Hye-siang's first tainted life experience worth? Besides, isn't there Miss Jin Lee? For Miss Jin Lee, 50 million is nothing. It's not as good as a piece of floor in her house. If Miss Jin Lee can't give us money, it's okay to get a pocketful of gems from the fountain and give it to us. Several people. This man actually said it? The meaning of the statement is clearly, yes, this news is not worth 50 million. But who made you rich? Of course, if you are so rich, I will take a lot of money from you. Su's father was speechless for a moment by this shameless and arrogant expression. Jin Lee said on the side, this money-grabbing gentleman, are you sure you want to do this? The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 1038. Other side. He obviously didn't recognize Jin Lee's voice. Who are you? Jin Lee said, you were saying I was rich just now, how come you don't know me anymore in the blink of an eye? The other party was silent for a moment, and then answered the question from the familiar tone and style, Jin Lee. Jin Lee nodded, it's me. The other party smiled, it turns out that Miss Jin Lee is here too. By coincidence, did you hear what I just said? Jin Lee, I heard you are so shameless that you shocked my whole family. The whole Su family is here. This shocked my whole family, and it really lived up to its name. The other person laughed again, actually, I'm still a fan of yours. I think you're good-looking, funny, and very funny. Jin Lee said calmly, even if you slap my rainbow fart now, I still won't like you. The other party said, we are all adults, so we can talk about what we like. It's so frivolous. It's more practical to talk about money. Jin Lee. The other party, Jin Lee, you have such a good relationship with Miss Su. You even went to the airport to pick her up. You didn't publicize your high status even though you have such a high status. It shows that you have a really good relationship. Since you have such a good relationship, why don't you spend a few dollars on your good sister? It doesn't mean anything, right? Su Hye-siang moved her mouth to say something, but when she saw Jin Lee making a gesture, she endured it. Jin Lee said, you are right about one thing. The other party asked, what? Jin Lee, I am indeed rich, and 50 million is nothing. The other party was delighted, did you agree? Jin Lee said, hey, don't be anxious, just listen to me slowly. The other party is also very patient. After all, he is talking to 50 million people, you tell me. Jin Lee, are you sure you want to offend so many people for 50 million? Other side. Jin Lee said, forget it about Su's family. After all, Su, Father Su and Mother Su are very kind. Other side. Jin Lee added, but are you sure you want to offend me, the Lu family, and especially Lu Zhenjia because of these 50 million? The other party was quiet for a moment and then said, now that I have made this decision, Miss Jin Lee, your words will not scare me. He said proudly, I know you are stalling for time, but I have already made complete preparations. Even if you find a more powerful expert, you will not be able to locate my location through this phone call, and it will be even more impossible in the future. If I take these 50 million and fly away, no one will be able to find me. Jinli sighed, really? It sounds really powerful. The other party said with a smile, don't worry, I only posted that one photo on the internet. It's easy to refute the rumors. As long as you can do what you say, then I can also guarantee that the original recording will be destroyed and no trace will be left. You can handle it on your own in the Bai family, and I can guarantee that no one else will know about it. Jinli sighed with emotion, from what you said, I think you are a very principled money grabber. The other party, that's ridiculous. Unexpectedly, Jinli's next sentence was, but I don't like being threatened. Goodbye. After saying that, he ended the call neatly. Other side. What is this development? Here, Jinli returned the phone to Sue's father and said to the three of them, just leave this matter to me. See you later. The koi fairy wife is sweet as honey, love from the koi goddess. Author, Su Xiaozhaji. Chapter 1039. Mother Su was a little worried, be careful. Jinli smiled, worry about me instead of worrying about that guy. Mother Su smiled sheepishly. In fact, she knew that Jinli was very powerful. But who doesn't care about the people they care about? It's just human nature. Jinli winked at a few people and smiled, wait for my good news. After saying that, in front of several people, the figure turned into a ray of light and disappeared from sight. Even though they knew Jinli's identity and were mentally prepared for anything that might happen, they were still a little shocked to see such a big living person disappear before their eyes. Seeing the expressions on her parents' faces, Su Hexiang smiled, now she is a real little fairy. When Su's father and Su's mother heard this, they thought the same thing. Immortals, it's normal to have some supernatural powers. And Jinli is so cute that she can't bear any emotions such as fear. And where is Jinli at this moment? She arrived in front of a house in the Baikan district of the imperial capital, far away from the Su family. The Hat Man is here. The place where he lives is not bad, a single family house with beautiful environment. Although it is rented, the rent is enough to prohibit countless ordinary people. The man who Jinli hung up the phone was thinking about when to make a second call. Being hung up on and the conversation falling apart were all within his expectation. He didn't expect to get the results he wanted in one go. As he himself said, he didn't want to really offend Jinli and Su Hexiang, so he didn't want to let go of what he had in his hands unless he had to, even if a company had already contacted him, and the offer was very tempting. He didn't relent at all about the price. He just had good luck and some strength. He accidentally found out about this and wanted to make some money out of it. Jinli's attitude made him a little confused. He was wondering whether it would be better for him to lower the price a little, or to release a little more stuff to force them to relent. Before he could make a decision, the doorbell rang. Is the takeaway coming? The man who was not thinking clearly about the problem ignored the fact that he had not received a takeaway call. In addition, he was a grown man and usually had no sense of crisis at all. He opened the door without hesitation. Then he was frightened by the person outside the door and took a step back. Jinli, he looked at the person in front of him in shock. He had never seen Jinli in real life, but he had no doubt that he had recognized the wrong person, the face was so recognizable. Anyone who can admit his mistake must be blind. His first reaction was, how did Jinli find him? The second reaction is, how long has it been since I made the call? How did Jinli get here? Was she already in the car when the call was made? He even wanted to close the door. However, the delicate woman in front of her was leaning lightly against the door with one foot. The man tried his best to make the door move even a little bit. As a fan of Jinli, the man quickly thought of Jinli's huge power setting. He's a little square at heart. But at this time, you must not show it on your face. His thoughts changed, and a look of joy and excitement appeared on his face. Jinli, God. Are you Jin Lee? I am your fan. I never expected that I can actually meet a real person today. Jin Lee. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Sushao Zheji. Chapter 1040. She interrupted the performance indifferently and commented, "It's too exaggerated. I refuse. Please end your performance." Man. He looked confused. What are you talking about? Jin Lee smiled, gently raised his foot and kicked the door. Boom. A low-key and dull impact sounded in the man's ears. He lowered his head in confusion, and was horrified to find that this reinforced titanium alloy metal door, which was said to be so strong that even 10 strong men could not break open, had a clear shoe mark left by the kick. Man. He mechanically turned his gaze from the door back to Jin Lee's face. Jin Lee smiled at him, "Can you talk properly?" Man. A minute later, Jin Lee sat on the main sofa in the living room, with a cup of steaming tea in front of her. The man was sitting on the sofa next to him very awkwardly. "You know what I'm here for, right?" Jin Lee glanced at the tea but asked without drinking it. The man tried very hard to look like, "I don't know anything, I actually don't." "Are you sure you don't know?" Jin Lee took over his words and smiled meaningfully. Man. "I'm not sure, I don't dare." He glanced at Jin Lee's delicate feet under her skirt in fear, and didn't dare to ask anything. He said with a sad face, "I know." Jin Lee then smiled, "Good boy, tell me, what am I here for?" A man's heart says, "Are you still a human being? You obviously know everything, but you still insist on making me say it again myself, and you still threaten me." He sighed and said, "You came to see me, because I am the one. Have you eaten melon today?" Jin Lee said, "Yeah, it's quite refreshing to admit it." The man made a grimace, "I'm afraid if I don't feel happy, your shoe prints will be left on my body." Jin Lixin said that this man once again proved that being a man means being strong. It seems that the little fairy from before was still too good-tempered. She said, "Then you must know the purpose of my coming, right?" Of course he knew that if he could come to his door, he would definitely destroy the evidence in his hands. Men feel that this cannot be done. He has worked so hard and done so much, but he cannot get any benefits at all. He gritted his teeth and said, "Jin Lee, there is no such principle in our industry. According to the rules of the circle, if you want to get something back, you must pay a price. We will pay for everything." Jin Lee said, "Oh, what if I don't want to?" The man said, "Then I won't take it out." Jin Lee pointed to the metal door that was closed but shoe prints could still be seen from inside. "Are you sure you can't?" Speaking of this, the man became much calmer. "I know you are powerful, you are a girl with strange powers, but Jin Lee, this is in our flower country. The most you can do is beat me up, and you can beat me to death, right?" Jin Lixin said it was really not possible. The man had not committed any damnable crime, and the little fairy was not a murderous little fairy. Besides, when she was in the flower country, both the Dao sect and the Divine Supervision Bureau were very kind to her, and Jin Lee would not hurt anyone casually if she gave them face. Of course, she knew this kind of thing in her heart, and of course she wouldn't tell the man in front of her. Seeing that she didn't speak, the man secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He felt more confident and said, "Besides, in our industry, how can we do it alone? Jin Lee, even if you deal with me here today, you should tell the story tomorrow. The news will still spread to the whole internet. Do you believe it?" Jin Lee, "I believe you, you big-headed devil. Good night." The Koi Fairy Wife is Sweet as Honey, Love from the Koi Goddess. Author, Sushao Zheji. Chapter 1041. There is indeed nothing wrong with what the man said. He couldn't have done this alone. He also had companions, indeed second-hand preparations. It's just that he himself doesn't have as much confidence as he said. Jinli tilted her head and glanced at the man, sighing. The man immediately became alert. Why are you sighing? He felt very weak now and couldn't tell what Jinli was thinking. After all, no matter who it is, they will be disappointed if they witness someone easily kicking a complete mark on a titanium alloy door. Jinli sighed again and looked at the man with some pity. Man. That look in your eyes scares me so much. Jinli said quietly, I'm sighing for you. Man. What's wrong? He was a little uneasy. Jinli whispered, I think you can afford to rent a villa like this, and you look well dressed. You're not that short of money, right? The man said nothing because he was not sure what Jinli meant by what he said. He could only stare at Jinli silently. Jinli laughed again. You said, you were living a good life, and you had a girlfriend who had been dating for 6 years and was getting married. Life is so beautiful, why do you want to provoke me? The man was shocked. How do you know? He has a very good relationship with his girlfriend, because he is in the paparazzi industry, which is not so above board, and he is afraid of injuring his girlfriend. He even has a separate account. The circle of that account is very clean, and he keeps everything secret. He is indeed ready to get married. This time Leo opened his mouth because he wanted to give his girlfriend a decent wedding. But even his partners didn't know about this. How did Jinli know? Jinli showed that everything is under control smile that made people nervous and numb again. What can you hide from me about what I want to know? You know nothing about the power of little fairies. Man. He said calmly, so what if you know this? These have nothing to do with what I do, you still have to pay me. I'm not saying this to threaten you, young man, Jinli said lightly, I just want you to know that I am far more powerful than you think. Man. Jinli regained her composure. Okay, enough of the nonsense, let's get down to business now. Man. So you were just talking nonsense to me? You are a popular and famous lady from a rich family, do you have so much free time? He cursed in his heart, not daring to speak out or ask, and just sat there calmly. I'll give you 2 choices now. Jinli stretched out 2 fingers and shook them at the man. The man looked at her. Jinli, first, now, in front of me, destroy the things in your hands. I will leave here as if nothing happened. The man obviously didn't want to accept this choice. What about the second one? Jinli smiled and said, second, I'll beat you up, torture you some more, let you experience the feeling of ecstasy, and then make you obediently destroy the things. Man. He looked at Jinli in shock, thinking she might be crazy. Are you suffering from acting problems? This line is so good and weird. Okay. Jinli's response was simple.